welcome back. So if you're like me, when you bought your ferro rod, it didn't come with a striker. So you either use the back of your knife or you use a striker that you buy online, or if you're fortunate enough to have the skills and you have a lathe, you turn yourself a handle and you make yourself a striker. But I'm going to show you today how to make a simple striker out of a file and a file handle. Now if you're lucky, you can go to a yard sale and you'll find both those items. Maybe pay 50 cents or a buck. But if you don't have any yard sales around and you can't find any, I'll show you how you could make one like this. And these throw some excellent sparks. So basically what you're going to need is a file. This is just a cheapo file. This is not a yard sale find. This is a Harbor Freight file. It was about, I guess, $2.99, and I got a free screwdriver when I bought it. I don't know what kind of steel is in here. I'm actually going to test it to see what kind of sparks it throws, but that's not really what we're concerned about, because we're going to just be grinding it into a 90-degree edge here so we can throw a spark with it. This file happens to be I think it's a mill bastard maybe, but it's got fine teeth. So if you're going to buy one with fine teeth, because we're going to grind these off. So you don't want some deep teeth that you're going to have to grind off. If you remember my heat treating video, I was talking about the end of the file being softer than the edge here. If you look here, you can see these colors. Hopefully that shows up. You got the bronze color and the bluish color. That's because they tempered the end of this, because they don't want the tang to be, brittle, which is the hardness of this, because it would snap off. So you need yourself a file, and you need a file handle. This was $2.50 in Ace Hardware. So between these two, we're going to figure out how long we want this to be. So I'm going to say right about there. That'll give us approximately 1.5 inches or so. All right, now there's a couple ways you could do this. If you have an angle grinder, you could cut this off, get a nice straight cut. If you don't have an angle grinder, you could snap this off. You could put it in a vise up to here and hit this side with a hammer, and it should snap off. Okay. The only thing with that is, if you plan on using the other edge of it, the other side of it, which I do, you take a chance of it going flying and breaking into multiple pieces. And you can pretty much bet that those pieces aren't going to be the sizes you want. Okay? Now it will break, like I said, with a hammer hitting it, but we're going to do it with an angle grinder. So I'm going to go get that set up, and we're going to put a cut right here, right around there, and then we'll continue on. Alright, so I have a little 4.5 inch angle grinder. If you don't have one of these, and you're interested in getting one, they are just awesome tools. I got this one. It actually cost me $11.99, and I've had it for close to 5 years now, and it's been working perfectly. Again, Harbor Freight. I know some people are a little leery of going to Harbor Freight. They say the stuff is crap, but I have a lot of tools from Harbor Freight, and over the years I've only had one tool fail me, and I brought it back and they replaced it, and I still have that one. It was actually a little scroll saw, but they're well worth it. Like I said, for this thing was $11.99 on sale. So we're gonna cut this, and then we'll continue on. Okay, reminder, always wear safety glasses when you're doing any kind of cutting or grinding. Now if you notice, I didn't go all the way through because I don't want this to fall. because I have a concrete floor here in my garage and I didn't want it to break. So I got it just to the end. I'm going to give it a little wiggle. Boom. Now I don't know if you can notice that on the end there. You'll see how it just discolored. That's where it broke. So we'll get the set up to the next spot and I'll show you how we'll finish this off and grind it up. Okay, so here's what we have. We're going to clean this up a little bit, get some of these, the actual file cut marks in here, and clean up the edge a little bit, and then we'll bring it over to the belt sander and we'll finish it up. Alright, now we'll bring it over to the belt sander and we'll do a little bit more fine okay, make sure you have a little cup of water because you don't want this getting too hot for a few reasons. You'll lose the temper on it, plus it'll be hard to hold. Alright, for sake of time, you saw how I did that. I'm going to finish it up and then I'll bring you over to the next step. Okay, so we have that, all the file marks ground out of it, cleaned up the tang a little bit. Okay, now we got to get this to fit in there. You would think you would want to smash that in there, but most likely, even though it's got this ferrule on the end, it's probably going to crack the wood. Now, if you're fortunate enough to have one of these, which is a reamer, this is perfect because if you look, it almost matches this taper perfectly. If you don't, you're going to have to use a drill. But just very carefully, do it a little bit at a time till it gets in there. When you get close, you can give it a little tap for the end, but we're going to epoxy this in anyway, so we're going to want some room in there for the epoxy to get around. Alright, we're going to call that good. We're going to tap it in for the last 1/16 of an inch or so. So we're going to get some epoxy mixed up and we're going to finish this up. Okay, so I have some JB Quick Weld. Before you do that, you're going to want to get some, get this open, denatured alcohol or some kind of degreaser. And you're going to want to clean the shaft, the tang part. I've learned that if there's any type of grease or crap on there, that JB Weld, any kind of epoxy, doesn't stick very good. So we got that cleaned. Let's get some of this mixed up. It's like any other epoxy, it's a two-part. You could use whatever you got, but the JB is definitely my favorite. Alright, now we're going to get some in there. We'll clean off the ferrule once we get it in there. I'm going to make sure it gets all the way down to the bottom. Use our rag that we just had. We'll get this in here. Let me grab a little hammer here. Actually, I'm going to have to do this on a hard surface. This table bounces. Okay, so I just tapped it in. the excess off. Get our little rag. That's it. We're going to let this set up. As soon as this is set up, I will come back and show you how it works. Alright, so the epoxy's set up. Here we have it. 249 handle. It's a Nicholson handle. And a $3 file from Harbor Freight. Or like I said, if you get lucky and find this stuff in a yard sale, you can get it for $1 and make one up. Here's the other part of the file. I ground off the end here. I'm going to see if this sparks. They also make these in different sizes. So if you wanted, you know, you can get one. You can probably use this size here if you drilled it out. If not, you can get the bigger size and you can make a matching set. You know, this is just a piece of mahogany handle that I threw on here. But let's give it a whirl and see what we got. Look at that. Woo. So, it works great. Let's check the hardness of the rest of the file. See if it's useful. Oh yeah. So, the rest of this file, you could probably make at least 2, maybe 3, depending on what size striker and what style striker you wanted to make. Or you can make a decent little knife out of this. So like I said, for a $3 file, you get a lot of use out of it. So there's our Ferro Rod Striker. The rest of our file is very successful, very easy to make, and it's a useful tool. So thanks everyone for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you're all having a great day, and we'll see you on the next one.